we've got jolly old Saint Nick. Lots of stock footage. Top drawer comedy.
What's soft and round, and you put it on a stick and you toast it in a fire, and it's green?
I don't know, what?
A marshmallow!
English-speaking aliens.
Once you hit that nuclear curtain, there won't even be a whisker left.
And people in green face.
What's this all about?
It's Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, but is it watchable? Thank you, phony fans, and welcome everybody to Is It Watchable? I'm your host, Paul. That's not roasting chestnuts you smell, it's the hot turd known as Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Hollywood has always loved a good mashup.
Oh, I don't play defense.
We've seen beloved characters hook up with famous monsters, space creatures from different movie franchises getting it on, legendary horror slashers take on one another, even entire genres coming together. But have there been any other holiday mashups besides Santa Claus Conquers the Martians? Why, yes, there have. Tim Burton beautifully put holidays in the blender with the awesome Nightmare Before Christmas, and all you horror fans out there know that that genre has covered everything from My Bloody Valentine, to Mother's Day, to God knows how many scary Christmases, and who can forget the granddaddy of all weird Christmas combos, the Star Wars Holiday Special.
The Star Wars Holiday Special, starring Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, Beatrice Arthur, Art Carney.
But even compared to that abomination, 1964 Santa Claus Conquers the Martians holds its own. It's got everything you never wanted from a Christmas movie, combined with everything you never wanted from a sci-fi movie. What more could you ask for? Don't answer that. Right off the bat, we're assaulted by a 60s style earworm called Hooray for Santa Claus.
Hooray for Santa Claus! Yay, yay for Santa Claus!
Once that's burned into our head, we open on two Martian children watching a news report from Earth. The reporter is at the North Pole to interview Santa, and things get as jolly as you'd expect. The leader of the Martians, Kimar, is concerned about his children's preoccupation with Earth television shows. So when Kimar's wife comes home from buying food pills,
We have hamburger, buttered asparagus, mashed potatoes, and a special treat for them, chocolate layer cake pills.
so they eat all the same food we do here on Earth, but in pill form. Okay. They discuss how their children, along with all the other Martian children, are becoming more rebellious and watching too many Earth television programs.
Why don't you go to the forest and see Chochim, the Ancient One? He'll know what to do.
Taking her advice, Kimar, along with the other Martian leaders, seek out the advice of a Martian elder.
We have no children on Mars. They have children's bodies, but with adult minds. They do not have a childhood. I've seen this coming for centuries. They are born. Our electronic teaching machines are attached to their brains while they are in their cradles. Information is fed into their minds in a constant stream. And by the time they can walk, they are adults.
That was actually a well-written, well-delivered, poignant monologue. You might actually be fooled into thinking this movie isn't that bad. Don't be. Wanting the Martian kids to enjoy the same Christmas spirit as kids on Earth, they decide the best thing to do is kidnap Santa and bring him back to Mars. This movie wouldn't win any awards, but honestly, I've seen way worse spaceship interiors. Scanning Earth's surface for Santa, they see lots of fake Santas and are naturally confused. Soon they're spotted by radar and the military springs into action with lots of stock footage. But how are they detected?
A slight case of Droppo.
Oh, hi, Chief.
What are you doing here, Droppo?
Oh, well, Chief, I went to the launching pad so I could say goodbye to you, and I remembered. I've never been to Earth, so I thought I wanted to
I
say...
may leave you
Oh,
there.
Droppo. Next we meet our two standard issue generic white kids, Billy and Betty. They're just hanging out in the cold while Billy is trying to sleep?
Oh, nothing, Mom. Betty, I'm trying to sleep. I see a Martian.
We're looking for one of your Santa Clauses.
There's only one Santa Claus, and he's in his workshop up at the North Pole.
To not leave any witnesses behind, the Martians also decide to kidnap Billy and Betty. Once on the spaceship, Droppo gives the kids a secret tour. From inside the clearly labeled radar box, the children overhear the Martians' plan.
No one on Earth will ever know that Santa Claus was kidnapped by Martians.
So once they've landed at the North Pole, Billy and Betty begin their escape. But before they do, Billy, in a move I was just about to yell at the screen, disables the radar. Color me impressed. Outside on the terrible North Pole set, Kimar and Voldar exchange words.
I looked in at the children before I left the ship. You stay away from those children. That'll be easy to do. They've escaped.
While hiding from the Martians, Billy and Betty encounter a guy in a polar bear costume. They narrowly escape that deranged furry, only to be captured by the evil robot Torg because they decided not to run for some reason. Torg is sent to Santa's workshop where he bursts through the doors only to magically be transformed into a giant toy. Now, Kimar and the boys have to go in and take Santa themselves. Strangely, Santa doesn't seem all that concerned, even after his elves and Mrs. Claus are frozen.
You know, my dear, I can't recall a time when you were so silent for so long.
Let's go, old man.
So hold on. They kidnap the kids so that they won't tell everybody what the Martians did with Santa Claus. But they leave Mrs. Claus and the elves only temporarily frozen to thaw out later to tell everybody what the Martians did with Santa Claus. And that's exactly what Mrs. Claus and the elves do, and now the entire world knows that the Martians kidnapped Santa. So again, the military jumps into action with more stock footage. They really are making the most of what they have. Meanwhile, on board the Martian spaceship, Santa's Christmas spirit starts to become infectious.
He's such a funny little man. Why, I've only been with him for 5 minutes and he has me laughing just like an earthling. What's soft and round, and you put it on a stick and you toast it in a fire, and it's green?
I don't know what.
A marshmallow!
Santa is still taking the whole abduction thing remarkably well and even takes a liking to Droppo.
Ooh. Well, is it all right if I have your chocolate ice cream?
Sure.
Oh, I just love chocolate ice cream.
Oh, Droppo. When the Martians are spotted again, Voldar discovers the radar box has been sabotaged.
Is it possible Earth has a secret device that can penetrate our radar shield?
They have a secret device, and his name is Billy Foster.
Tired of the kids and all this Santa Claus nonsense, Voldar decides to straight up kill him by sending him floating off into space. When Kimar finds out what Voldar has done, an epic fight breaks out. But to everyone's surprise, Santa and the kids are alive and well.
But the air duct is just a little, and you're so big.
By the time they arrive on Mars, half the crew has caught the holiday spirit and are singing Christmas carols. Also, Voldar escapes the brig. Kimar brings Billy and Betty into his home to meet his wife.
Come on in.
Was Santa just waiting out in the hall for an introduction? Finally, the Martian children meet the abductees and they all have a good laugh. Absolutely nobody seems too upset that they've been forcibly taken to another planet by gun-toting aliens. Meanwhile, Voldar is hiding out in a cave plotting against Kimar.
Now, we cannot eliminate Santa Claus, but we can discredit him.
The Martians build a toy-making machine for Santa and the kids are put to slave labor. Then, in a bit of foreshadowing, Droppo asks Santa if he can try on his extra duds, but is told he's not fat enough. Now, in an odd exchange with Kimar and his wife, we finally get some emotion from Billy and Betty.
Children, are you feeling well? Has someone been mistreating you?
Oh, no, sir. You and Lady and Mama have just been swell to us. Good night.
What could it be, Momar?
Really, you don't know what could possibly be bothering the children you kidnapped. Droppo really wants to wear that Santa suit, so he tries to fatten up on food pills. Why do they have a fake Santa beard laying around? Next, we get a bumbling night operation by Voldar and his goons. They sabotage the toy machine that mistake Droppo for Santa, never mind the green skin, Martian helmet, and the fact that he looks exactly like Droppo. With Droppo missing, Santa's extra suit gone, and the toy machine spitting out misfit toys, everyone quickly figures out that Voldar is behind it all. So when he shows up to make his demands, thinking he has the real Santa as a bargaining chip, Kimar locks him in a storage room until reinforcements can arrive. But Voldar is having none of it and fights his way out. But it's a short-lived escape because the kids and Santa open up a can of Home Alone-style whoop-ass. With the bad guys defeated, well, technically they're all bad guys, but you know what I mean, Santa suggests that Droppo would make a great Martian Santa Claus, and Kimar agrees to send everybody back to Earth. We get a warm holiday wish, and another dose of that snappy tune. This film is praised by experts across the globe for its accurate depiction of Stockholm Syndrome. It should come as no surprise that Santa Claus Conquers the Martians appears on way too many bad movie lists to mention. But underneath all that garbage, there is some pedigree. It contains a few Broadway actors, John Call, who played Santa Claus, Vincent Beck as Valdor, and Tony Award winner Bill McCutcheon as Droppo. And for those old enough to know who Pia Zadora is, this marked her film debut as the little girl Martian. Even that catchy theme song was written by a former Tonight Show band leader. Want some interesting facts? This is the first time that the character of Mrs. Claus appeared on screen in either a movie or television show. And those intimidating guns that the Martians used? Those are popular air blasters of the time that you could pick up at any toy store. So Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Is it watchable? Yeah, I gotta give this one a so bad it's good rating. Not only does it win points for the sheer spectacle of putting Santa Claus on the same screen as Green Men from Mars, it's surprisingly easy to watch. It clocks in at just over 80 minutes, and while yeah, they're 80 stupid minutes, the plot moves along at a fairly brisk pace, so it never really drags. And despite some bad special effects and cheap looking sets, which are par for the course for these types of movies, the production values and acting are actually pretty good. So we get these talented actors giving it their all, exchanging well-written lines of dialogue with other talented actors, all juxtaposed against a ridiculous plot and a straight-up bananas concept for a movie. It just makes it all that more fun to watch. They're trying so hard, taking it so seriously, not like the wink-wink performances in movies like Sharknado or Birdemic. Also, it's easy to forgive this movie for being so dumb because it's a Christmas movie and kind of has that goofy 60s Christmas special feel to it. And honestly, if it had been edited down to an hour-long special with commercial breaks, it might have become an annual holiday tradition in the vein of Rudolph or Frosty or all the other dumb Christmas specials we remember being better than they actually are because of nostalgia. Well, that's it for this episode. Be sure to join me next week when I take a look at one of the worst things to happen to the best superhero ever, 1997's Batman and Robin. And don't forget to subscribe.